We're on the eve of the high school football season, and two of the most popular coaches are on our show this morning. Plus, ice cream takes that'll have you yelling at the TV today. No doubt about it. Hot Mic starts now.
Hot Mic with Dom Izzo.
Really? Really, Dom?
No. I like what Dom's doing.
Okay.
Dom Izzo.
Jeez, come on, Dom. What do you think I am, a magician?
Yeah, I'm fired up, Dom. What else could I say?
Absolutely. It was great to get on the field, and then Dom came up to me, and I'm trying to walk away from me. I just wanted to enjoy myself out there.
Hot Mic.
Great job.
There's got to be some kind of intelligent question about something.
Coach Dom Izzo, WDAY in Fargo, North Dakota.
Can you give me a layup or something?
Hot Mic. Presented by Northwestern Mutual.
That program is second to none.
On the networks of WDAY.
You know, if it's not about sports, I find it very hard to concentrate.
Here's Dom Izzo.
Good Wednesday morning. Welcome to the I Hope Your Sump Pump is Running edition of Hot Mic on WDAY Extra. KSFL TV, good morning in Sioux Falls. KNBN in Western South Dakota. And Inforum.com. Happy Wednesday, everybody. August the 6th. It was rain-filled last night. Just tell you, the front yard got it. Some pumps running. I made sure of that before I left the house on this Wednesday. Happy Hump Day, everybody. Welcome to Hot Mic. I am Dom Izzo, host of said show, and welcome to our program today on a controversial Hot Take Wednesday show. Evidently, it is National Root Beer Float Day, I believe. The powers that be here at WDAY, we have a culture committee to, boost spirits. They do some cool stuff around the station. They really do. And today, apparently, we're having root beer floats here. So, yeah, if you want to come on down to the station, I'm not sure if it's for everybody, but there you go. I, at the end of the show yesterday, proclaimed my disdain for them as a ice cream connoisseur. That apparently woke up the masses. Eric asked for it, and so we'll unveil later on the show the ice cream rankings according to me, which is all that matters because my name is on the show. But we have put a poll question out, so we'll get it out here now because, what else are we going to talk about on August the 7th or 6th, whatever day it is what is the best version of ice cream? Is it the Klondike bar, which is a big favorite for me, ice cream sandwich, the root beer float, and as my wife said, because she saw the poll question, as I can't say exactly what she said, what the bleep is a banana sundae? That's a banana split, just for the record. We posted this not that long ago. We already have overwhelming amount of votes already, so keep them going, and we'll have the results by the time the show is complete. I'm very interested on that. I'm sure there's going to be some write-in candidates as well that are wrong, but we'll indulge that. We got a packed show coming up here on a Wednesday. As I mentioned, today is the day before the day. At midnight tonight, high school football practices can officially begin in North Dakota. And we know one will be doing it at midnight. We're going to check in there because it's a tradition we do on this show every year is to go to Beach, North Dakota for the opening day of high school football practice and how they're prepping for that. We're going to do that later on in the show. We'll also check in with one of the reigning champions in North Dakota high school football that's moving up, West Fargo Horace. A lot of chatter about the Hawks for 2025 after they won the 2A state title. Their reward, they got bumped up to the top class in North Dakota high school football in 3A, which means for the first time this year, they are going to play Cheyenne. They're going to play West Fargo. Those are monster games. They're going to play Davies. Those are rather large games for our area. We're going to chat about that coming up later on in the show as well. You'll also hear from standout Bison wide receiver RaJa Nelson. Week 2 of Bison Fall Camp begins today. We'll be out there later this afternoon. You're going to hear from the senior wide receiver on coming back for a 6-year and potentially playing some running back as well. That's coming up later on in our program. We got a couple things to get to off the top. There was one cat I had this sent to me yesterday in regards to the Twins going forward because I've made it plain on how I feel about him for the last 6-7 weeks of the baseball season. An email I got yesterday said, yeah, I concur with you, Dom, but if there's some young players that are standing out, it might be worth giving some attention to that. And they're not wrong. And then, of course, what happened last night, said young player delivered for the Minnesota Twins in a way that, okay, this is a bright spot. Luke Keeschall, who we remember in April, who came up and was electric for about a week and then broke his arm, missed almost 90 games off Chris Paddock, of all guys. Rocked a 2-run home run. Made a 3-0 Twins lead. This is another guy to keep our eyes on, is Zebby Matthews, who has pitched well over the last month. And last night was notwithstanding. He went 5 innings and struck out 6 Detroit Tigers. He was good last night. Trevor Larnach adds to the lead here with a lace one to right, again off Paddock, to make it a 4-1 Minnesota lead. It's a 5-1 game in the 5th, and look who's up again. Keeschall with a base hit. He drove in 3 runs last night, did the rookie. Just giving him a little bit of burst to make it a 6-1 Minnesota lead. Tigers would get a couple back. Justin Topa would close it out. Twins get a nice win last night, 6-3. Again, the story, though, to me, is that guy, Luke Keeschall, who missed 86 games with a broken bone in his arm. And when he was up, he gave them a little bit of a spark. We talked about that 3.5 months ago. But this is a guy to keep an eye on now over the next 6 to 7 weeks of the baseball season. Zebby Matthews is another. Zebby's now 3-3 on the year after winning last night. Striking out 6 as the Twins will play the rubber game coming up later today. Just look at it. Zebby starts here over the last month. Okay? And again, you can try not to take too much of an overreach on this because remember, he was out for a month and a half with an injury. First start back, got rocked in Colorado, gave up 8 hits, 5 runs, and 4 innings. Then it was the start at Target Field against the Nationals. It was good there. 6 innings, 2 hits, no runs, struck out 7. Last time out then was the disaster against Boston, which is when everything went haywire and Griffin Jax is yelling at RaJa. Was 4 1/3, 8 hits, 5 runs. Last night, 5 innings, 5 hits, 1 run, struck out 6. These are the guys, if it's going to be this way, and it's going to for the next 6 to 7 weeks of the season, these are the guys I want to see playing. I want to see production out of them down the stretch run. So, good win last night. Matinee baseball coming up from Comerica before they're back home for just the weekend coming up. If you stayed up late last night for the Minnesota Lynx game, it was worth it. The Lynx are going to have to play at least the next 2 weeks without league MVP. We'll just say it. Nafisa Collier is going to win the MVP of the WNBA. But after she twisted her ankle pretty fiercely on Saturday against Vegas, she's out. Lynxmen made a big trade on Sunday. They traded for Dejanay Carrington, who is the reigning defensive player of the year in the WNBA. And she made her debut last night in Seattle, and you could see her impact right away. Fourth quarter of a game, they're down 3. She comes up with a monster block on one end, and then on the other end, comes back, drains a 3, and ties the game at 66 to start the fourth quarter. Later, Natisha Heidemann gets it up to Carrington, who lays it in. That put the Lynx up by 2. Now we move under 4 minutes to go. The Lynx are up 3. Carrington drives and scores, had 13 points off the bench, put Minnesota up by 5. Then Courtney Williams goes to town with a tough drive in the finish, puts Minnesota up by 6. Then she hits the 3. She goes for 20. Minnesota goes on the road and wins it 91-87 to knock off Seattle. The Lynx get to 25-5 after they won a game by 53 the other night when they dusted Vegas. They able to inch by Seattle. And now with 14 games left in the regular season here, they're 25-5. They got a couple days off. They're back home for their next one coming up on Friday when they'll take on the Washington Mystics. And then the big showdown coming up on Sunday on WDAY when they take on the New York Liberty. That game will be on Sunday without Nafisa Collier at least till maybe the middle of next week. We'll see on her status. But big win last night, and that was a great trade there. Dejanay Carrington fitting in immediately for the Lynx as they picked up a road win. Couple other items to get to here before we get rolling. The other shoe is dropped in the Jordan Addison case. Story we've been following seems like for the better part of 16 months because we have. Yesterday, official word came down that Addison has been suspended for the first 3 games of this upcoming season for violating the league's substance abuse policy. This stems from when Addison fell asleep in the middle of an L.A. highway. He pled guilty, or no contest, I should say, to a wet charge that came out of this. And I'm not going to get into the legalese of it because it's down the rabbit hole of it. But the main thing is he's suspended for the first 3 games. And the reason they would announce this is that he accepted the suspension. There's not going to be an appeal on it. Original charges of driving under the influence and driving with a .08 blood alcohol content were dismissed. Addison had pleaded not guilty to them in December. He pleaded no contest in July to a lesser charge of wet reckless driving stemming from the July 2024 drunken driving arrest in L.A. So that means he will miss the opener against the Bears, the home opener with Atlanta, and the following week's game. He'll be eligible to play when the Vikes go overseas for their first of back-to-back games in Europe against the Steelers in Dublin in Week 4. Now, he can play in the preseason. So we'll see how much reps he gets for the game Saturday against the Texans, and then the joint practices coming up over the next couple of weeks. It was the second arrest in a year. You remember he was arrested 2 years ago when he was driving 140 on 94. I think he said that time his dog was sick. Still don't know what happened with the dog. But there's an issue there. Now, this is a big deal. Knowing we're not sure. Kevin O'Connell has said that Justin Jefferson is okay and should be good to go for Week 1. But when you have a rookie quarterback out there, you want him with all of his weapons, and that's not going to be the case. We don't know what T.J. Hawkinson's status is, that he pulled himself out of practice a couple days ago. So this was nothing that the Vikings weren't prepared for, but it's a deal without having Addison out there. And now it's official. Something that's been looming over the Vikings for the better part of a year is now official with the suspension. So no comment yet. The Vikes were off yesterday after they had the night practice, so I imagine we'll hear from Kevin O'Connell today in anticipation of the Vikes getting ready for their preseason opener coming up on Saturday with Houston. One last thing before we get it rolling. We are about 45 minutes out from first pitch in Indianapolis. Later today or this morning, the Fargo Little Leaguers are finally back playing. They haven't played since Saturday after they beat a team from Wisconsin at the Midwest Regional. They will face Sioux Falls coming up here at the top of the hour. One note on this, because we talked about it on Monday's show, because of some bad weather in the southeast, that region championship game has been moved to ESPN. So if you're looking for the Fargo game later this morning, and I would tell you, don't turn us off. Feel free to stream us and watch the game. One combination or the other. But the game will be on ESPNU this morning coming up at 10 o'clock. That's because ESPN is contractually obligated to show all of the region championship games. Those are the games to get you to Williamsport on the big channel. So if you're looking for that this morning, that's where it's going to be on ESPNU. We'll keep you updated throughout the second hour of our show on how the game is going. This is the winner's bracket game. So whoever wins this advances to the championship game on Friday, meaning you just need to win one more to go to Williamsport. If you lose, you're not done. Thanks, Eric, for this. This is the bracket there. The team from Kearney, Nebraska won yesterday over Iowa. They're awaiting the loser of this game to play tomorrow in an elimination game. And then it's winner take all. You get to Friday, you just got to win one. It's not double elimination for the championship. So that's the backstory heading into today's game. Each of these teams have been sitting around since Saturday. South Dakota's team from Sioux Falls has not allowed a run in the first two games of its tournament. So that's the backstory, and that's coming up later this morning. We're looking forward to that at 10 o'clock from Indy, and we'll keep you posted on how the game is going once it gets started later this morning. We have a packed show coming up for you here today. Our guest lineup is brought to you by Northwestern Mutual. Our guy Drew Trafton will join us in just a few minutes. I'm not sure he knows the buzzsaw he's walking into. I'll just warn him on that, of his segment coming up in just a few minutes. At 9:35, head football coach of the Horace Hawks, Harvey McMahon, will join us. Only coach they've ever had. State champions last year. Now they're up with the big boys. He'll join us in studio on the eve of them opening up fall camp, which starts tomorrow out in West Fargo. That's coming up at 9:35. At 10 o'clock, the legend Mike Zier will join us from Beach, North Dakota. They will open practice tonight at midnight, way out in western North Dakota, a tradition unlike any other there. And he's brought food. We'll discuss that coming up at 10 o'clock. And at 10:35, my conversation with Bison senior wide receiver RaJa Nelson about coming back for a sixth year, about the potential of playing wide receiver and running back this upcoming year, and that wide receiver room. Plenty of talked about it. He's in it. He'll give us the lowdown on that coming up at 10:35. That and a heck of a lot more here on a busy Wednesday. We're glad you're joining us. Hot Mic is off and rolling. We're back after this on WDAY Extra, KSFL TV, KNBN, and Inforum.com.
The biggest Seahawks, Sounders, and Mariners fan in the FM area. It's time for Views with Drew.
All righty, here we go.
Buzzsaw.
You're
What's
walking
this
into
buzzsaw?
something today, so I'm going to get to that in a second. I do have some business to get with you
Got some
first.
business.
The Mariners wheeled and dealed. They got your guy
They
back.
did. Yeah.
You want to go? Suarez is back with the Mariners.
Yeah, and last night he hit his first home run
Yeah.
back with the team, and it sounded like
The
what I
baseball
imagine
nerds.
it could sound like if they won the World Series. Not sure what that sounds
Well,
like, of
now
course.
hold on. The baseball nerds are freaking out. The Mariners are one of the teams that now has moved up the betting favorites here to make the World Series.
Yeah, they got Josh Naylor from the Diamondbacks as well. So they got two big pieces there that they needed to address, both corners of their infield. And then they got Caleb Ferguson from the Pirates, a relief pitcher. And he's really setting up the back end of their system there. So that's a really good. Yeah, they had a really good trade deadline, and they've got a couple guys coming back too. Victor Robles is coming back, hopefully by September. So that could give them a more dynamic leadoff type situation there. Bryce Miller, who is the starting pitcher, just had a rehab assignment in AAA, and so it's an exciting time. I think we're just so conditioned as a fan base just to think the worst is going to happen, and it has so very often over the last 20 years that I think they're in a spot. But their lineup looks completely different than it did back in April, for instance. And it's just completely different, and it's great.
I'm intrigued to see what happens with them and the Astros. Obviously, Houston dealt for Carlos Correa, and it's not Carlos Correa of 2017. It's not even Carlos Correa of 2021. So I'm intrigued to see what happens there.
He can all of a sudden get lift.
Oh,
on
yeah,
the ball.
correct.
Now he's back in Houston.
I know
it's so funny to watch that happen.
Preseason poll came out Monday.
Yeah.
Grizz got some love. Montana put it 7.
Yeah.
What do you make of that?
I thought that was about as high as they could possibly be on that poll, looking at it. I think the way Incarnate Word has been coming on strong the last couple of seasons.
But we know the Words deal.
Yeah.
They're going to score a ton of points, and they play a a Valley team and they're going to get their brains
They
beat
could,
in.
Yeah.
That's the deal.
Yeah, the way that program is being built, like I think that was there's a lot of love for them on that. Illinois State, the way that they've been
A lot of love
rebuilding.
for them too, and I'm in the same boat on them.
Yeah.
And
they are in that buzzsaw.
they got to be either NDSU or SDSU this year to get my real attention.
Yeah, but I mean, I'll tell you what. Like that, I mean, I wasn't surprised at all by the top four.
No,
that's so set in stone in my mind, and I think a lot of people's minds. And I was just so blown away when we were at Missouri Valley Football Conference Media Day. Just the confidence level. It wasn't arrogant at all, but both the Jackrabbits and the Coyotes were just so confident in their ability,
which
and
is
what they can do.
Interesting on both of those with the amount of changes each team has had.
That's the thing, right? You know, 2 new head coaches. You know, a new offensive line. I mean, pretty much knew everything in South Dakota State for the most part, but a new offensive line for South Dakota. But Aiden Bowman's there, and it's just I was just kind of surprised at just how firm they felt, and they really felt like, no, we've got a plan, and they sold it. They sold it really well.
Just USD is really intriguing to me of how that's going to play out, knowing they lost 4 of their starting offensive linemen. Mm-hmm. That's not what Aiden Bauman signed up for when he decided to come back.
No.
It was just not.
No.
And as much as he wants to spin it, it's one thing if he had 4 All-American first-team All-Conference guys back. They're not.
Yeah.
And that's, I don't know. I don't know how good USD's depth is. That's what we're going to find out right out of the chute. I mean, they're not inching into the schedule there. They play Iowa State. After they come back, it's really interesting. The 2 teams they're going to go play in Ireland to start here in 2 weeks, which is crazy. K-State and Iowa State are each playing Valley teams, with K-State's playing UND and Iowa State's playing USD to start the season. So
we'll see.
See on that.
Yeah. The good thing is we don't have to wait too long.
That is true. We're right around the corner. Okay. The big news today. Did you know it's apparently National Root Beer Float Day today?
No.
There's a day for everything.
Idea.
Evidently, Culture's doing something with that today. And I was very outspoken about yesterday that I'm not a big root beer float guy.
Oh, okay. You can
I'm
have
not saying
opinions. That's fine.
See, I do this all the time, but it's my show, so I'm guaranteed to be right. So I'm going to put out here my rankings of my top 5 ice cream rankings.
Okay.
The Klondike Bar the Klondike Bar is fantastic. And if with chocolate ice cream in it is devastating. It's fantastic. Just the plain ice cream sandwich is fantastic.
Just like generic, store brand, pre-wrapped ice creams you could go with here.
I'm telling you, right? They don't sell them around here. If someone tells me if there's a Klondike Bar with chocolate ice cream, I will go there. It's like the strawberry watermelon Gatorade. We can't find that anywhere
Klondike bars, okay.
Ice cream, the plain ice cream sandwich is fantastic.
Okay. Yeah, that's a goat. That's pretty good.
The Cookie Witch, which if you get that at a baseball game, that elevates itself to number 1.
Okay.
Like if you're at a baseball game and it's warm out,
Sit in the
go get
stands.
I've done that at Newman Outdoor.
Yeah.
It's tremendous,
okay.
and that makes the experience even better.
Yeah, I can abide by that.
Now,
That's fine.
the Jackman had his first dilly bar the other weekend, last 2 weekends ago, and he's got a couple of loose front teeth there, so it was a little dicey situation. But he said, it's too much ice cream, Dad.
It's too much?
It's too much. And he's 6.
Yeah,
I'm going to give him that.
Right.
But that's pretty darn good. Wallivan used to bring him anytime he would go over to Moorhead. You remember this. Anytime he was over there, he would bring the box of them back to the station, which was
what's
fantastic.
Great about the dilly bar is you can dip it in different coatings.
So Court loves
different
the butterscotch. She told me that's number 1 with a bullet.
Great. Yeah. You've got the cherry, you've got all sorts of stuff. You can do different ice creams, like a mint with the chocolate. Like that's
we're not doing
up
that.
there.
And then the drumstick is also very popular in my house. I like that one. And if you have it with chocolate ice cream in it, it elevates itself there. I'm not the nuts on top of it. I could take or leave.
I've grown in my wizened age now to appreciate nuts and ice cream.
Yes.
When I was a kid, I was adamantly opposed. It's like, get that off of here.
Yeah.
If it's not candy, I don't want it. But now it's like, you get that saltiness, the crunchiness.
Yeah.
It adds to you get that chocolate shell. But it's like, that's almost like 3 treats in one, because then you get down to the cone. That's its own thing.
All right, so that's my ranking. Atrocious.
That's just awful.
Atrocious.
Yeah,
what would you put up? What would you remove?
Put me on the spot there. I definitely remove the Klondike bar. was like, that's
No way.
that's like brand X, like get that out of here. There's just so much good like artisan ice cream out there, It's
So, obviously, are you a big root beer float guy? Would you have that up there?
I mean,
banana
root beer floats-
split? Would you have up there?
No, banana split's not my thing.
Okay.
I'm not a big like fruit and ice cream.
Yep.
Like still not a
Yep.
big fruit ice cream guy. I mean, I like a Blizzard from Dairy
I'm not.
Queen.
I do as well.
Like those are really tough to
Yep.
beat. I've back in my early 20s, I have this distinct memory of I was driving home from work, got a large Blizzard, and there's road construction going on in the road I pulled out on. And like by the time I got like 2 blocks away, it was finished. So I went back and I got another one.
That's
So
fantastic.
it's that good.
What's
I mean,
the
it's that
go-to
good.
one?
I like the mint Oreo Blizzard. Like that's my go-to.
Mint is
but
foul.
it's no
Mint
it
is
tastes-
only good in
it works.
toothpaste. That's
Nah.
it.
There's
That's
something
it.
like really refreshing about it. You get the cookie in there too with the Oreo.
See, again, this goes back to my candy rankings, which, as you know, are highly controversial
Yes,
that we do
or
each
Halloween.
Halloween.
Yeah. Oh my
that
gosh.
the Butterfinger Blizzard is fantastic because I like Butterfinger is one of my top
candies.
candies.
That one's good. There's
It's
no
up there.
bad Blizzard. I have
I would
never
probably-
had a
I would
bad,
probably
like a
concur with-
bad Blizzard.
Well,
that's
I would say a couple years ago they did like a gummy worm one, and I don't care for that.
Ooh, and it's like super
the dirt
sticky
one, the
and you have to,
Oreo
like, chew
dirt one.
through
Yeah,
it.
I don't. I didn't care
I
for
know
that.
My jaw to hurt
Yeah,
after
that
eating
was
a Blizzard.
that was a thumbs down on that. So our poll question is out. The best version of ice cream. You can vote now at Hot Mike WDAY. We already got over 100 people voting, so clearly we have stirred the passions there. Those are our options. Obviously, you're not voting for Klondike Bar.
No, I think out of that group, I might have to vote for the root beer float.
Really?
Yeah, I think
Just because the other ones are so atrocious, you couldn't go anywhere near.
It's just like there's better out there. It's like.
Yeah, email comes in. Dom, you forgot the best ice cream dessert in your poll. The Dairy Queen Blizzards. I agree.
Yeah, yes.
Do I say it's not better than the ones I put out there, in my opinion.
You don't. You honestly don't think a Blizzard is better than a Klondike bar?
It's a push to me. Klondike Bar on a hot day. If you go out and just mow the grass, which I have done, and then come in and have that, you're good, man. You're all set. It's fantastic.
Klondike bar is the worst to have
is,
on
yeah.
a hot day.
No, it's not. It's perfect.
It melts in your hand.
It's the best. That's the whole point of it. That's ice cream. It's supposed to do that.
I'd rather have a Blizzard.
No. Blizzards, first off, it takes forever to defrost anyway.
Check that. I'd rather have a concrete mixer from Culver's because that's 100 times better than anything on your list.
I don't think in the 5 years I've been doing your show, like we've disagreed about anything like to this degree before.
That's the whole part. That was why I brought it up. So,
by the way, I'm not going to give away what's winning in the poll.
Yep.
But
It's not
there's
Klondike bar.
There's two that are heads and tails above everybody else.
last email before we go. This is good. Anyone who prefers mint in their ice cream has no business calling a Klondike bar atrocious. Bam! That's it. Email winner of the day already.
Send me that person. I want to talk to him.
Before we go, we got Harvey waiting. We, as deputy commissioner, we have to just set up, by the way, a date to do the Hot Mike fantasy football draft.
I got a
now
text
August
message
6th,
from a commissioner in another league, and I was like, "Oh yeah, we got to do that."
Because we have to formally bring in Scott Engen to do his apology letter.
Yes.
For his, speaking of atrocious, his atrocious finish last year, and then redraft because Dylan's already bugging me from Rapid City that is he going to
join us? Like,
oh yes, he's already contributed with my ice cream opinion, so there's no doubt about that. So we have to get that lined up here in the near future because the season's a month away.
Who knew? Sneaks up on us. That Hall of Fame game always just comes in and just slaps you in the face.
Thanks for coming by as always, bud.
Thanks
Appreciate it. All right, there he goes. Drew Trafton joining us each and every Wednesday. Walked into the buzzsaw, but he handled it. He knocked it out of the park there. We'll break. We come back. Speaking of buzzsaw, the Horace Hawks were that last year on the gridiron. They're back in 2025 and moving up. Harvey McMahon joins us in studio on the eve of fall camp. That's coming up. We come back. Welcome back, everybody. I think the emotions have calmed down after our last segment. Who knows? I don't know if I've stirred it up here with our next guest, who's on the eve of fall camp, so already tension is high. since tomorrow it begins the grind out in West Fargo for the defending state champs in 2A, now moving up to 3A for the Horace Hawks. Harvey McMahon joins us in studio. Do you want to get it rolling here? Did I miss up on my ice cream take? You want to let it rip?
I didn't hear all the opinions. I was just kind of eavesdropping on it. And I mean, ice cream sandwich seems like a pretty solid choice.
Yep.
So I think when you were talking about that, I got on Twitter quick and just voted ice cream sandwich. So trying to sway the vote.
Okay, so it's swung that way. I appreciate that. It's great to see it. You know, we were visiting off air on numbers for what you got, and I want to get into that in a second. But I can distinctly remember 5 years ago, right about now, of practice number 1 of going out at, I believe, at Liberty. Where are you guys at? We're at Liberty Middle
School field with the
and
PE equipment.
Less than 20 kids out there of starting this, and now here you are, reigning state champs. Did you get a chance at all the off season just to sit and relive of what the last 4 years have been like?
Yeah, it's been awesome. You know, it's one of those things like you take a little bit of time because obviously with the transition now and all those things, like complacency is probably going to be the number one enemy, but definitely, you know, you take time to reflect on it in the journey, and it's super. You know, we had our parent meeting last night, and it is very special just to be able to reflect on that, be a part of it, and yeah, I'm very fortunate that it turned out the way it did, but. Yeah, you go from 14 kids with PE equipment at a middle school field, and I think a little bit of that was our DNA, though, you know. And then we come in today, and right off air, I look at the number, and we're at 108, and so it's,
holy cow! Yeah,
it's been fun, and it's been a privilege to watch the whole thing grow.
Is that even more than you thought? By 5 years in, we be this big.
Yeah, I'm gonna be honest, Dom. I'm a little nervous about our equipment right now. So, you know, we'll do all this stuff the first couple days, and hopefully have enough equipment. So, but yeah, it's definitely a good problem to have.
Tell me the championship game at Dakota Bowl last year. When did you get a sense like, holy cow, we did it. We're gonna do it. When did that click in for you?
Well, with that fumble, it wasn't until almost the end, but. Really, I think it was, that last snap when Taylor took the knee and just kind of soaking all that in. And it took a while to wrap your head around, but it was just a super rewarding moment for so many people involved. And, myself included, I got to take time to reflect on it. It took a little while, but a very rewarding moment.
I know we had you on in November, right at the Monday after the championship win. When in the locker room, how long did you stay there? Just soak it in, have the trophy. Like, how late of a night was it at the Dome that night?
Yeah, well, it was just a late night in general. In the locker room, nobody wanted to leave.
Yeah.
We were all hugging and taking pictures. The kids liked doing that, and then we had the room upstairs and got to celebrate the parents and all the families, and then we got to get that chauffeur back to Horace, and so it was just an overall a really fun night and a good thing for the community too, just to. See some reward with all the effort people are putting in.
I think you had a total of maybe 2 days to celebrate because then you found out that you're moving up to 3A football, which I don't think came as a real shock to you, but maybe to some parents or supporters of the program. How did you handle that, saying, hey, bask in the glory of this, but, okay, we're moving up to the big boy division starting this coming fall?
Yeah, to be honest, it's nothing that we haven't really had to face before. Our first varsity season, the district had to put a track down, and so we lost all of our home games.
Yeah.
Like that again, it's kind of a little bit of our DNA, is just being able to roll with the punches. And certainly, do I wish that that wasn't the capturing news? Yeah, I wish our boys would have got a little bit more recognition. I think that would have been appropriate. But at the end of the day, I mean, the people in the locker room, got the reward they needed, and that's what's important to me. So, it is what it is, and. We're going to continue to stick together.
You mentioned support parents-wise. Describe, I guess, the conversations you had with parents on why this is happening, or what's the more common questions you've had over the offseason on, wait a minute, we just got to 2A and now we're being forced up to 3A?
Yeah, I mean, and being totally transparent, right away it was split. I had parents reach out to me and say they're really excited, especially with the travel deal, not having to travel as much.
Yep.
I had some parents that were really concerned, and they felt it wasn't fair, and it was one of those, like, I think that's a moment, like, myself and my staff, we got to look at each other and understand, like, it's time to step up, and we're moving up. It's not a secret anymore. It's where we want to be. So it's time to just kind of pony up and get after it, and we can't feel sorry for ourselves at all.
I was going to say, how many times you went to Minot, I know, for the playoffs. What are the road trips that you have last year?
Well, we had 2 to Grand Forks, which is kind of whatever, but then we went to Dickinson. We went to Bismarck. We went to Minot. The year before, gosh, I'm trying to remember that.
Did you go to Williston that year or no?
We've never been to Williston.
Okay.
We went to Watford City.
Watford, that was it. Okay.
That was a bear of a travel. But, yeah, I mean, the travel is tough.
Is
but
what
when
it
you
is.
got 12 teams in that AA division, that's what you get.
So I think, to me, there's palpable buzz for this year knowing, okay, now you're finally going to play Cheyenne and you're going to play West Fargo in football. You've played in every other sport except football. How big is this for the boys and for yourself and your staff? Like, okay, we're going to find out how good we are against the other West Fargo teams.
Yeah, I mean, to be honest, it's, I know those guys have been looking forward to it. The other teams, we've been looking forward to it. So I think it's, the senior class especially, and really 9 through 12, all the boys are very excited, and they got a lot of friends, in the metro here. And so now the ability for them to play against their friends and, like we got kids that are on the same shared Legion baseball team. And so they get to have those fun conversations. And I know a lot of these coaches in the metro, and, I have a tremendous amount of respect for them. So it's fun for me, personally, to be able to go out there and compete against them as well.
Did you do some finagling with the schedule? You got both teams at home? How'd that work?
The schedule is great. I'm real happy we got Cheyenne and West Fargo home. The big problem is our parking lot issue, because I don't think we're gonna have enough parking for that game. So
I say you better go there now and get your
Right.
spot reserved for those nights.
Right. But yeah, I mean, our schedule is also a bear. I mean, I think we got 3 or 4 of the teams in the state championship.
Yeah, we showed it up on the screen here now. So obviously you play Kindred, who's moving up to 2A, who won the Class A championship a season ago. Obviously, you play Cheyenne, who's the reigning 3A champs. You got a game. Legacy's solid, by the way. I'm not sure how to determine who's who, since you both have the same colors.
I don't see this schedule is brought to me by Mr. Ladeau, and he, I'm looking through it, and I'm like, he's like, well, you got a AA team, and I'm like, who is it? He goes, Kindred. I'm like, perfect. There's 2 kids with standing offers to Michigan. That'll be a fun game. So really excited to game plan for that.
There's a game at your place, though. Again, there's another one.
Oh, that's going to be
right down the road. That's going to be packed that night there. That's going to be fantastic. And then you end with Davies and Shanley, and those are another 2 that I know you're really looking forward to get a chance to play those 2 teams.
Yeah, and that's the thing is, Wayne and Troy, and you just look at that roster, and there's great coaches, and they're all great programs, top to bottom. And, a little bit of that is my message to the boys is, that Dakota Bowl game had so much intensity. And, previously I'd coached 3A football, and really the difference to me, and I tell the guys is, the difference between 2A to 3A is you look at that roster or that schedule, and every single week's going to be a Dakota Bowl type game, right? So you got to be able to bring it every week.
Especially since you guys won, there's a bigger target there that everybody's coming for you now. Okay, hey, they won. Let's see how good they are. I imagine by coming up to 3A, you're going to face that every week, I would imagine, right?
Yeah, absolutely. And that's a challenge our kids, our coaching staff, I think the whole community's embraced. And, we understand the challenge that's ahead. And the biggest thing is, we're coming after it, and we're excited for it. We're not going to shy away from the opportunities.
Last thing before we go to break, you got a couple more minutes to hang out?
Oh, yeah, absolutely,
I know you're saying in jest about equipment and parking lot, but is this explosion of interest surpassing what you thought at this time? That, hey, maybe year 7, year 8 we'd be there, maybe not at year 5.
Yeah, and to be honest, yes, it is. One of the things when I found out when we were going 3A was, well, how do you combat a school like us that's 900 against these schools that have 1,400 to 1,500? And so a lot of that has to be creating depth within ourselves. Has to be a lot of getting in the hallways and getting after kids and getting them excited about playing football. And so, having 100 kids, well, that's 1 out of 4 boys in the school, and so that's something we take a lot of pride in.
Pretty good, man.
Yeah. But that's also, as a coach, we felt like that's what we have to do, to set ourselves up for a good year.
Let's take a quick break. Much more with Horace head coach Harvey McMahon. We'll chat about his team and what's coming up for North Dakota high school football in 2025. Back on Hot Mic, we wrap up Hour 1 right after this. All right, wrapping up our first hour. You're hitting leadoff here. We got Zier coming up after you. So you got to bring it here.
I'm happy I'm first and not after him, so I'm happy about that.
Have you ever thought of doing midnight practice like he does?
So a lot of my boys saw that.
Yeah.
They must see him on Twitter and stuff.
He's a very popular guy on social media.
And they were like, let's do that. And I'm like, well, I feel like I'd get like a bad email from him or something, So we're not.
No, I think he wants other people to do it. I think,
a great idea.
it's fantastic.
It's a tremendous idea.
Yes.
So
a good way to get it started. Fargo North did it. I want to say, gosh, it was over a decade ago. It was a cool deal.
Okay.
I'd like to see more out and do it. Email comes in. Dom, can Coach McMahon explain, good luck, on why Horace is moving up to 3A? Can you do that in under 10 minutes of why you guys are moving up to the top division?
Yeah, so that's a good question. So from the phone calls and the conversations I've had with the people associated with that decision, ultimately they just felt we could compete at the 3A level out of all the teams that were in the 2A pool before. That's what was told to me.
Yeah.
And that's really what I hate to say, like, that's just what it is. But when I ask my questions, because, I'm big into, like, what are the processes behind these decisions? Because I think they're important. You know what I mean? You don't want to end up in a promotion relegation system. Otherwise, Barnesville's going to be playing Moorhead. You know what I mean?
Yep.
And so ultimately, I think what was told to me was just they felt we could compete the best out of the existing teams in 2A.
I agree with that, and I have spent way too much airtime railing on the class system in high school football in the state. It's still not. I still will never subscribe to a theory where the Grand Forks schools aren't in the biggest class in North Dakota. If you're in West Fargo, Bismarck, Minot, Grand Forks, you have to play in the top division. That's it. There's no wiggle room in that in my mind. Just isn't.
I mean, I don't get paid to make those decisions.
Yep, I know.
I've always said
that's
that.
my opinion. You don't have to say anything to it. That's just my 2 cents on
and
it.
there's a lot of people's opinions on it. What I'll say is, do I agree with the process? Not necessarily, but I think people know their programs best, and I have a tremendous amount of respect for all of the coaches I was able to compete against in the 2A level.
Yeah.
And so, at the end of the day, I'm going to trust those coaches because I know them. They're great people. They know their programs better than I know those programs. So ultimately, I think I'm just going to let the professionals do what they do best.
Give us a sense of this year's team. What you actually had guys graduate. Now, tell me about what the 2025 Horace Hawks will look like.
Yeah, I mean, this senior class especially, I've known them since they were, 6th or 7th grade now, and this is a tight group. They love competing and playing football together. So I think this is a group that's ready to take on these challenges ahead. They're chomping at the bit to get after it. So, I'm expecting, an intense, fast-flying, physical football team from these guys.
Recruiting question: how close are we to having a Division I Horace Hawks soon in football? We've got other ones in other sports. How close are you to think having that in the football ranks?
That's up to the boys, right? you gotta work your tail off and go to these camps and show off.
But you got guys getting recruited now. I mean, you got a bunch of them, frankly, right?
Yep. Yeah. There's boys getting recruited, and I help out. I have good relationships with coaches specifically in the area, and there's definitely interest in my boys. But ultimately, it's those guys that need to go find those relationships with the college coaches. But hopefully soon, that would be a good thing for me.
Having a returning quarterback, how big a deal is that?
I think it's a big deal. This year we don't have one,
right?
With Taylor leaving, but we like what we have in our quarterback room currently. I think we got a couple of names in there that had a good year last year on the JV level. Does it help to have varsity experience? Absolutely. So that is something we're going to lack, especially early on. However, knowing the kids that we got and just the competitors they are, we're confident with the group we got.
How early in camp are you identifying guys like they can help us in terms of, okay, maybe this guy had a better summer than we got to see, and this is going to be a bonus for us because we weren't counting on him maybe for the fall?
Truth be told, I do it year round, right? So I also am doing head track coach. I do it during track too, right? So I'm doing it year round. Obviously, it gets into summer and you get to see, okay, I think maybe this guy might be able to fit in well with this situation. I actually had a conversation with Coach Polasek, and I had a boy at one position. He goes, try him at this position. I think we might want to take a look at him. And so it's those types of things you do in the summer. And then when you get to the fall, what's really cool is you got these boys, our kids are pulled in every which way, and I might not see them for a while because they're doing baseball or basketball, or Lord forbid they enjoy, being a kid and going on a family vacation. And they'll show up on fall camp and you're like, holy smokes, redo the depth chart. You know what I mean? So that's the fun part. That's a really, enjoyable part of the gig.
This is another bone to pick I have, and this is not with you, but the high school association of your starting practice tomorrow. Some teams will be playing games 2 weeks from now. Mm-hmm. Is that too short a run up? I know you guys aren't doing that. You still have a full 3 weeks before you play. But to me, 15 days seems crazy to start practice and then, okay, we're going to play a football game after that?
Yeah, see, I'm indifferent on that. I think I agree with you to an extent, but on the opposite end, if it's too long, those kids start. I mean, you got to hit the other colors at some point. So I'm kind of 50-50 on that. I agree with you. Sometimes it feels rushed, but sometimes there can be a lull too. And then as a coach, it's hard because you're like really trying to have to, manufacture some energy. So, like for us, we have a quick one because on the 21st, which is I believe the first legal day you can have a game, our JV is going against Minot Bishop Ryan's varsity team. And my understanding, they got an NDSU recruit. So my JV kids are, ready to roll too. They're ready. They're bouncing off the walls already. So
describe what a successful season looks like in 2025 for Horace.
Yeah. So it's interesting. We had that parent meeting last night.
Yeah.
This is kind of what everyone's like, man, are you guys going to go back to back? Are you guys going to go 0-9? And I've always said, even back when we had 14 kids at Liberty Middle School field, like I just don't use that as a litmus test for myself. I know who the kids we have. And so I think relationships are a big thing. So, I'm expecting us to have adversity. And that doesn't mean losing. That doesn't mean it could be an injury. It could be, anything that happens in a football season. Can this team stick together? You know what I mean? When you go to 3A, everything's so magnified and so intense. Like I said, it's like the Dakota Bowl for 9 weeks. So the maturity of this team being able to stick together, if they can do that, sky's the limit for this crew.
I'm interested, do you talk with some of your colleagues? I remember Davies doing it, and this is 15 years ago when Davies was brand new school and was thrown right into the deep end. You're playing, it wasn't like you guys, you had a little ramp up to get to 3A. They were right in there. Do you seek out any advice on this? I know everyone's, especially football coaches, are so close to the vest on not giving up anything.
Right.
Have you done that over the last few months?
That's, I'll just go back to what I said a little bit ago. Like, all the coaches in North Dakota since I've started, that whole brotherhood is tremendous. I just think of even Troy Mattern really had no business in helping me, and he's just the first guy to stick his neck out. You know what I mean? Yeah. So that's why all those coaches at the 2A from Vern all the way to Todd at Devil's Lake and Gilbertson at Wapton, I have so much respect for those guys, and they're so good for the game of football. All those guys have helped me at some point or another.
Last thing before we let you go, another email comes in. When do you start selling parking for the Kindred game? We were just talking about that because that one, another one, you're going to have a ton of people at that one too.
We had a JV game 3 years ago against Gwinner. We went down to talk. Eric and I connected, and we did a JV.
Love EO, one of my favorites.
Oh, yeah, he's the man. Yep. And I just remember that was such a cool atmosphere. They lined up the trucks around the football field and would turn on the headlights and stuff. I imagine that's what our Kindred game's going to be. So let's just go, let me feel some Class B before we go into that EDC schedule. Let's line it up around the field. Everyone tailgate it.
Oh, it's going to be fantastic. It's so great to see you. Congratulations on a great year. Good luck. I know a lot of people are going to be watching to see how your team does this fall. And thanks so much for coming by this morning, all right?
Yeah,
Harvey McMahon joining us here in studio, head coach of the Horace Hawks. They open up the season August the 29th. And you saw on their schedule, we'll have a couple of their games here on Extra coming up in October. We'll break. We come back. We'll start hour 2 with the Midnight Man. Mike Zier will join us from Beach as they get ready for opening night coming up later tonight. Back after this.
This is Hot Mike.
Hot Mike.
On the networks of WDAY.
WDAY.
Here's Dom Izzo.
Welcome back, everybody. Hour 2, ready to rock and roll on this Wednesday morning. Our thanks to Harvey McMahon for joining us. Bison standout wide receiver RaJa Nelson will have his conversation from fall camp coming up here in about a half hour. I teased it off the top of the show. Everybody's been waiting for it. The Midnight Man joins us because tonight, football practice in the state of North Dakota can begin, and there's one school that will go at midnight. I don't know if anybody else is following the tradition that Mike Zier has started out in Beach, North Dakota. A tradition unlike any other. He joins us on opening day. What is up, my man? How you been?
Best time of the year.
The best time is right. So we saw you've tweeted out last week at the grocery store what you were getting. Can you describe what the food you got for the boys for tonight?
Yeah, I just picked out the egg bake that I'm going to do.
This connection. There you go.
It's going to be a potato. So It's going to be pretty good. I'll apologize right now, Dom. I'm at the Chateau Zier, so if the internet's not good, this will be the last time we try it at my house. Okay, I'll just keep going up to the school.
I didn't want you to go
I
to
don't
work
know
today.
and what really stinks about it, Dom, is when I do anything like pitch or anything like that, it works fine. But when I do it with you, it doesn't work so good.
It's my fault. It's all on me on there. We're seeing the photo you got there. So that's breakfast. So practice goes at midnight. What time are the boys eating here? What time is that happening?
So we usually eat about 2:15. It depends, a lot of the stuff. My wife helps out. She brings up the egg bake and the cheesy hash browns, which are always the first thing gone. And and then we get done about about 3:30. But the kids really enjoy it and fired up for year 26 in Beach.
Holy cow, that's fantastic. Give us, for people that don't know, the backstory on the midnight practice. When did you start doing it, and what do you remember the initial reaction maybe from parents? Like, really? Sending our boys at midnight to football practice? Can you tell us that?
Well, we did it early in the early 2000s. Then, my assistant coach, Mark Goldberg, said get it back. And now I think if I got rid of it, we couldn't. But I kind of put a disclaimer in there because we have kids that come from 30 miles north of town, some 30 miles south. It's like, hey, I get it. If you're not going to be bunking up with someone in Beach or whatever, don't worry about it. Just come to the night practice on Thursday. But most of the kids come, they find a way, whether they just sleep on someone's couch or whatever, and then they go home.
Has it gotten the response from others? Have you heard?
No,
I don't know.
They got chores to do. So
has anybody else
So
decided
good.
to do it yet? Do you know that? Has anybody else hopped on board to say we want to do the midnight practice?
Well, I know in the past, Coach Kleining at New Salem has done it for years. I don't know if they're still doing it with their new staff, but there's been quite a few schools that have done it off and on. For me, logistically, it'd be tough. Like if you did it at Horace High, I mean that's a big meal. That's a lot of kids at the streets. I mean, I got to call one deputy.
Tell us about numbers this year. That's always something you're worried about. How many kids you got out for the team?
Well, I think we're going to be close to 15 and 20. That's where I'm hoping to land. We never really know. This is the day that coaches get nervous about because there's always surprises. I was talking to a coach yesterday. He said, mom sent me an email, doesn't come out, who was a starter or whatever. So I'll let you know tonight. I mean, I heard one of my kids was in Chicago. I'm guessing, well, he probably is not going to be at practice. So we'll just see what happens.
You and I have talked about this for a long time here. You're starting practice today, and then you play 2 weeks from now. Is that any way feasible, or is that too short a run-up, or you think, hey, 16 days, that's long enough for us to practice and then go play a football game?
Well, it's interesting because the lowest level of football has the least amount of time to prepare in our country. And that's just the way it goes, where the higher levels and everything, they play for a lot longer. But no, I think it's good. I think Coach McMahon said the best thing, you don't want to just practice for 4 weeks. You talk to basketball coaches, what do they hate about the winter break? They want a couple games mixed in there. They don't want to just practice. So I think it's fine, I mean, we're not. We're not really playing for the Super Bowl here, so.
Hey, we're going to have to let you go. I want to get one last question here because your connection is just being wonky here, and I apologize. That could be on our end, too, so who knows. What's the furthest road trip you got? How far you? What's the longest one you got going this year?
Well, sorry about the connection. It's at the Chateau Zier. I would say, we go to Lent. We also play in Mandan. Other than that, I think we'll be pretty good. Our second game's at home. I'm looking forward to that, and I think it'll be really good. And hey, if you want, I can try and log in on my iPad. I think that'd be a little bit better too.
If you want to go and do that quick, I can stall. So if you want to go do that, I can tap dance for a couple minutes. Okay. He's gonna go do that. Go try that. So hopefully we can go with Coach on that. I will say, and you saw Eric. You can throw up the shots of midnight. And I was gonna. Hopefully we'll get to this if we get him back. The people that actually drive on the interstate on 94 and see this lit up at midnight is people have actually stopped and talked to them about it. It's unbelievable to see because it's just so odd. Like, wait a minute, there's people out there practicing on at midnight or 12:30. You could see the players there in the distance. He said this to me last year on opening night, which was just a cool deal. And I know he mentioned New Salem had done it for a little bit. Nobody around here does. And that's, to me, the biggest shame of the whole thing. Because it's one time, I know college basketball used to do it forever. Midnight Madness was a thing. And it was exciting. It was a way to, okay, here we go, to jumpstart the basketball season. For the life of me, I can't understand why nobody in football does it. And it happens, it's sporadic in other states. I know a couple in Minnesota have subscribed to it. To me, I can't figure out why nobody in North Dakota has decided not to do this more, because it's a really neat deal. And Coach he is totally bought into this over. Well, he said year 26 of him coaching. He's done this for the better part of 20 years that they have gone and done it, and it's hugely popular. I think people all around the state always ask him about it and talk to him about it and chat about, hey, this is a thing this is really neat. All right, we got you back.
Hey, Dom, I'm back. I'm now in the kitchen of Chateau Zier. So
we're getting the tour of the house today.
Yeah, exactly.
I was just sharing when you were off here, and you got to tell the story that people driving on the interstate and they see the lights lit up and have either stopped or wondering what the heck's going on. Can you share that story?
Yeah, I got home and after practice one day, and I woke up, and it was one of our school board members actually was coming back from a late meeting or whatever, and she snapped a picture of the lights, and I'm like, well, I'm glad she's in favor of it, because it's like $600 to throw the lights on every time. And so, yeah, we get pictures from people who enjoy that. We don't really get a lot of people come to practice because, number one, you know, we're just running around in shorts and helmets and stuff. And number two, that, it's late.
How strenuous are you getting tonight? Like, how deep are you getting into things? Or is it pretty, like a walkthrough, what you have going on tonight?
No, I mean, we'll do conditioning. We'll do some drills and, things that we normally would do. We can do our tackling drills with our donut and stuff like that. So, I mean, it'll be pretty good. Kind of looking forward to it. And, but, like the sled's not there. And, you really can't do much with just 3 days, with 3 days in helmets and stuff. But we've changed practice so much in the 26 years I've been here. You just can't beat up kids, Dom.
No.
You just can't do it. I mean, you got to save them.
I'm interested you mentioned year 26. I know you love what you do. Have you thought about maybe when you're not going to do this anymore? Has that come across your mind yet?
Yeah, it started this year where I gave up the AD job, the worst job on the planet. If anyone who's an AD, you know what I'm talking about. Tip of the cap to you. And then we'll see from there. This will be my 20th year as head coach, and this will be my 26 years head track coach. So it's tough to let those things go. But, I've thought about it. But, luckily, Dom, our contracts are year to year. So I don't have to worry about any long-term deal or anything like that. So we're going to be good to go.
You made the playoffs last year. Is that goal or bust for 2025? It's hard to, I know, because you don't know how many guys you're going to have yet, but what's expectations for you personally for this upcoming year?
Well, I needed that last year, and we needed that last year after an 0 year before.
Yeah.
The regions are bigger. You know, they got 4 10-team regions, so it makes it more difficult to make the playoffs. If I'm being honest, last year the smaller region helped us, but I don't care. We just play in the system that they're in.
Yeah.
So it's going to be tough to get to the playoffs. I like to say we're always competing for that 3rd or 4th spot, but really my goal when I took over 20 years ago, and it's still the same, I want competitive football for Beach High School. I just want when people come to a game that they see our kids playing hard, learning the game of football, and we give the other team some fits.
You mentioned you're playing in Mandan. Talk about that day here with a bunch of teams from your neck. Well, there's not nearly anybody in your neck of the woods, but around there, they're going to be playing in Mandan on August 23rd.
Yeah, what's funny about that is we meet at that neutral site at the Starion. I love it. And literally all the teams want to play beach because then they don't have to come to beach. So Napoleon won that straw. I think after they had to come to beach 2 years in a row because we had to redraw every year. Don't get me started on that, Dom. So Napoleon, we're going to open with them. They got a new coach, so we don't have any film or anything on them. I love that day. Our kids love that day. I don't love that we're playing at 2:30 in the afternoon in August on a Saturday.
May not be great. No, that may be a little warm. Yep.
Nah, but I need to lose some LBs anyway, so that's okay. And then afterwards, we go to Culver's and get some custard.
There you go. Oh, Eric will love that because he was talking about that because that's our, it's National Root Beer Float Day apparently. So I put out my very controversial ice cream rankings. I don't know if you saw them earlier on the show. What's the go-to ice cream in the Zier household? What do you got?
Well, I can't believe that yours is a ice cream bar that you can just buy at like a grocery store. Way to go out on the limb, city guy. I mean, geez.
That's what I like, man. It's my list, man.
Yeah, I guess. I think you don't even have a Blizzard on there.
No, I don't.
But I'm not really a big ice cream guy, but I suppose for me, I do like the dip cones.
Okay.
And we don't have a Dairy Queen. It's an hour away. But I remember the strawberry dip cones, now just the dilly bars, I suppose.
Yep.
But for me, I'm an old school guy. When I go to a place that has ice cream, I'm like, hey, do you have that bubblegum ice cream? Because now hear me out, Dom, because you actually get 2 treats in one. Because once you get the bubblegum or once you get the ice cream done, then you got a mouthful of bubblegum.
That's good. Yeah.
It's the worst bubblegum on the planet. That's not the point. But you still get bubblegum.
There you go. You always give a good explanation on it. As you get close tonight, like 11:45, 11:50 tonight, do you get the what are the emotions for you doing this all over? The butterflies, what excitement, nerves? What for you emotionally as you get close to getting ready to start tonight?
So I'll be honest with you. A few days ago or whatever, you get kind of like, well, here we go again. I got to get mentally prepared. The school year, everything just starts with this. And then now 2 days ago or a day ago or today, then I'm super fired up. I'm ready to go, and because, it's a process, right?
Yep.
It's you got to get back into that swing of things. And I'm really excited, but, also nervous because right now, Dom, like last year, I wasn't nervous about winning games, Dom. I was nervous about fielding a team.
Yeah.
I don't ever want to have to call up a school and say, look, I only got, 10 guys. I can't come. And the other thing is like when you finish a game with 12 guys, well, when you have a 285-pound guy, you're not putting him in a corner. So I had a lot of kids that the other coaches found and they used that. And I just had to put my arm around the kid and say, hey, look, man, just keep battling. Better times are coming.
Yeah.
I can't do anything else.
Couple minutes left here with Coach Zier. And by the way, connection is great. So whatever you did now, it's fantastic. So that's it's working great. I am interested. If I would have told you 10, maybe 12 years ago that 5 years running, now 6 years running, there would be a 9-man North Dakota player playing either FCS or FBS football out of North Dakota, would you believe me?
Yes, as long as they're linemen. If you would have told me that they were a running back or a quarterback or a wide receiver, I would have said, Dom, you're crazy.
Yeah.
You slipped on the ice. I mean, it's the nature of the beast, right? I'll never forget when Coach Bull came out and recruited Landon. I'll never forget this. You know, they weren't really enamored with Landon's film, let's say, right? But Coach Bull said it because he's a straight shooter. He's like, he's got a tackle body, and that's what you need. You need he's got the body, and so you got to go where that body is, because you never know where that body lands. And luckily for us, big body people like to farm and ranch. So, you know, because they get bigger.
That story always, when he landed and he walked to Landon's house, correct? Is that, if I remember correctly?
No. So this is all on Coach Bull. Okay, because I told him that I'd pick him up at the airport, and he's like, nah, I'll walk. So he's walking from the airport, and Landon drives by and says, hey, Coach, can I give you a ride up to the school? And he's like, no, I can't, because NCAA violations. And then the next time he came, I had to come and pick him up. But the best part is then when Coach Vegan came out, the offensive coordinator, he had to drive from Fargo. So Coach, yeah, so he just drives from Fargo, has a 10-minute talk, and turns around and goes back.
Last thing, since you've been doing the analyst role for us the last couple of years, have you gotten some feedback? Have people reached out of how you've done on television?
Yeah, I mean, it's like this, Dom. It's like when you run into friends and stuff, even if you're really bad, they're usually not going to say, hey, you know what, Mike? You probably shouldn't do that. So the better question is, Dom, have you guys gotten feedback?
Oh, yes. Overwhelming.
As to how well I've been doing.
Overwhelming. People love having you on. I think it comes through how much you love 9-man football. I'm telling you that now. It bleeds through the TV.
Well, and I do love football, and I love 9-man football because it's special. It's as close to the 11-man game as you can get and not have 11 guys on the field. Not that stuff they do in Canada with 15 guys in motion, the bigger field, and all that stuff. And, although, hey, Dom, if you went to the Canadian rules on the line of scrimmage, you couldn't have the tush push.
That is true.
They have the tush push every third and short.
That is true. Last thing I saw at the coaches convention, which you hosted last week here in town, did you bring up the Shanley Beach football game again?
So I ran into Coach Mattern, and I couldn't believe it. He was in on the Minot State session when they were talking about option and stuff, and I think he started shaking. Like he was watching it and everything, and he had to get up and leave. He couldn't. I'm like, all right, see you, Coach. And so he could only handle 10, 15 minutes of a running session. But he does a great job, and no, I don't think that rematch is going to happen.
Yeah, we'll probably have to wait for that. It's great to see you, bud. Have a great time tonight. I look forward to you sending me the pictures from opening night, and we'll chat down the road, okay?
All right, thanks, Dom. Sorry about the connection.
No, you did it. It's great, bud. There he goes. Mike Zier joining us from Beach, North Dakota, a tradition that we do each and every year. Midnight practice. He'll be the first out of the chute tonight. It actually will be 1 a.m. here, but midnight out there for their first practice, and appreciate him getting that. So connection was great, and he got the full Zier experience there on the show this morning. All right, we're way overdue. We'll get caught up here. We got a few emails coming in. And again, RaJa Nelson will join us about 10 minutes, chat about Bison Fall Camp. The sun out looks beautiful after what we had last night. Back on Hot Mic right after this. Good stuff there with Coach Zier. We appreciate him. Update from out in Indianapolis. The Fargo Little Leaguers are underway against Sioux Falls. They're playing as the top half of the second inning. It's a 2-1 Sioux Falls lead. Fargo just scored. They have the bases loaded with 2 outs in the top half of the second. Remember, they play 6 innings in these games. So, once again, Hans Anderson said they like to fall behind, and they've done that for the 3rd game in a row, but trying to put a rally together. Again, this is a winner's bracket game. Whoever loses is not done today, but would have to play tomorrow. The winner will play on Friday, and Fargo just tied it, may take the lead here on a base hit Yep, they're going to be up. They're going to be up at least 3-2 going to the bottom of the second. So we'll update you on that before time runs out on our show at the top of the hour. One other thing I wanted to get to before we break and get RaJa Nelson in. The big news, sports TV related yesterday, long reported that the ESPN NFL media deal went through, which means now the NFL owns 10% of ESPN, which I want you to, whenever you see ESPN report on anything league related, have that in the back of your mind. You just have to. That now the league owns 10% of ESPN. So the messaging is going to be crafted, I would just say that. On the broadcast side of that, that means the red zone, which is everyone's flocking to that, and that is a huge part of it. ESPN will now control that, which by the way, I have my reminder that I get renewed for YouTube Red Zone. Eric, am I led to believe that this is it for YouTube in that then? Because next year this will be on ESPN's app. Is that how you understand this?
Well, that's what I was going to ask you because I'm not 100% sure.
See, I don't know if anybody does.
It's all going to go down.
I think right now the Red Zone is also available linear. Like on my DirecTV package, I get it as part of my DirecTV package, which means I don't necessarily need to buy it at the Red Zone on YouTube. That's a whole other deal. That's not sorted out yet. Is the Red Zone going to go on ESPN Plus beginning next year? Here's another part of it. There are NFL games that are on the move because NFL Network has rights to, I think, 7 games during the season. According to the deal, NFL Network currently airs 7 NFL regular season games and will continue to do so in future years. ESPN will license 3 of those games, expanding their portfolio of NFL games from 25 to 28 between them and NFL Network. ESPN will shift 4 games from its current schedule back to NFL Network, 3 Monday Night ABC exclusive windows. So it sounds like we're losing less Monday night games. And their ESPN Plus exclusive game are going to NFL Network. The other part of this, and I think I don't think you're a big fan of this. I don't know if many people are, is say goodbye to the Monday Night Football doubleheaders. The biggest impact in this schedule shift for fans is that Monday Night Football doubleheaders will soon be a thing of the past. This is from Awful Announcing. For the last several years, ESPN has expanded the number of Monday Night Football games to include several weeks of doubleheaders or overlapping games. As of the new ESPN NFL agreement, those will be no more. Now, all of ESPN and NFL Network's games will be full national broadcast windows. To me, those were, they didn't make sense. You had a game starting at, on ESPN at 6:15 and then the Monday Night Football game at 7:30. Invariably, nobody watched the ESPN game, right? I don't remember anybody doing that.
I didn't watch it.
Yeah.
But I wish for the doubleheaders, I wish they would go maybe at, let's say you have you have the Eagles versus the Giants. Let's say that kicks off at 5.
5 Eastern or 5 Central?
5 Central.
Okay.
So 6 o'clock Eastern.
Okay.
And then you have a game in the West Coast that kicks off at, 8 o'clock Central Time.
Or 8:15.
Because then you're not going up against each other and you're not making fans pick, all right, we want to, what we want to watch.
They're not doing any more doubleheaders at all. So I think they tried that. It had some success. The overlapping ones were not, I didn't think those were good at all. If you had 2 games on, great. Invariably, nobody watched. You had, was it Titans-Bills last year? It was 48-0. No one watched that. Right. Everyone was watching the Monday night game. This is not for this year. This will start in so it's 2026. So we got a year to figure out where the Red Zone is going to be because that's the most popular television entity right now. It is. It really is. People that don't even watch the full game with their fantasy football or betting, they're watching the Red Zone. That's what they want to know. And now ESPN has control of it. That's a major, major television sports deal.
So what happens to the reporters like Rappaport? I know Schrager already made the move to ESPN.
I think they're now.
Are they all going to be under ESPN?
I think they're ESPN employees. Yeah, I believe that's how I understood it. So there's going to be Scott Hansen is the host of the Red Zone. You mentioned Ian Rappaport. I don't know what happens with Good Morning Football because they've already ruined that show by moving it to L.A. It's a complete mess, in my opinion.
If they mess with Red Zone, there's going to be riots. I mean, Red Zone's already getting tinkered with because it used to be
commercial free. It's not anymore, right?
It's not anymore, which absolutely stinks. But if they mess with Red Zone and get rid of Scott Hansen, which would be
he's not going anywhere. I don't think he's going to. He just signed an extension, so he's going to be the guy. But
I also liked him with the Olympics coming up. With the Gold Zone. That was so fun to watch.
Yep, he's doing that again. But you make a good point on the commercials. They started sneaking those in at the end of last year. I'm like, wait a minute. I don't remember commercials ever being on here, and I don't think that's going anywhere. All right, we'll break. We come back. Bison senior wide receiver RaJa Nelson back for a 6th year at North Dakota State. We caught up with him at fall camp. You'll hear about his expectations, especially after a really difficult last year. That's coming up when Hot Mike returns. Back after this. Welcome back, everybody. Just an update again from Indianapolis. It's a 3-2 Fargo lead over Sioux Falls in the Little League Midwest Regional, going to the top of the 3rd in that game. Winner moves to the championship game, be 1 win away from going to Williamsport. One other, Eric shared in the break, saw this as well going back to our previous conversation on ESPN and the NFL Network. They also reached a deal ESPN did with the WWE. Means WrestleMania will be available on ESPN Plus next year. Also, the NFL draft isn't going anywhere, especially now that ESPN bought the NFL Network. I don't know. Does the NFL Network still do a draft show? I don't know about that. ESPN's keeping the draft, though, which they've had since 1980, I want to say. And you can lament who they put on it, but they're keeping the draft, and that'll begin starting in 2026. Part of it as well, they can add other alternate telecasts across streaming platforms for rounds 1 through 7. College Game Day, NFL Live will continue to be on site from the NFL Draft. You experienced that. Obviously, you were there last year or just a few months ago in Green Bay. They're everywhere. I mean, their sets are huge, right?
They had the McAfee set.
Yep.
They had the Game Day set. They had...
And they're normal. There are 2 other sets, right? The ABC and ESPN, right?
Yeah, they're set up by the stage. Well, ABC set is the Game Day one, which was behind. So the draft stage looked out at the McAfee Game Day set, and then the NFL Live set was right next to the stage. I don't know where the NFL Network was. I didn't see them there.
Yeah, that's. I'm wondering what that future looks like with them now being owned by ESPN. We'll find out. Mentioned today is a full week into NDSU fall camp. They'll be practicing again later today. We'll be up there. We were up there on Monday, and we talked about the amount of seniors that graduated last year. Bison only have 15 that are on the roster in 2025. They have one 6-year guy, and that is RaJa Nelson, who is back after missing half of last season with a pretty nasty hernia groin injury that he suffered in the first game of the year against Colorado. He came back. He played in the playoff games, and boy, he was huge there. Look at what he did in the national championship against Montana State. They picked and choose where they could use him last year. South Dakota State during the regular season, pretty important with the 2 touchdowns that he had in the win for the Dakota Marker. I visited with Raj on Monday, get his thoughts about coming back for a 6th year, being a leader, and potentially playing another spot on offense. I was making a joke on the sideline. You're old enough. You caught passes from Trey Lance when he was here. Tell me about that, about knowing full well that you're going to have the grandpa maybe moniker this year.
It wasn't obviously planned or expected, but, that's kind of the route that God gave me, and I'm fully, blessed for this opportunity. I'm blessed that the coaches give me another chance to, come back and compete and, obviously provide for this team. But, taking on that role is just more so like pouring back into the team. Like, if I've been through this, just showing other people, how things work around here and how we do things, what Bison Pride's like, we take a lot of pride with what we do. So I just feel like if I'm able to, play that role, it's a big thing for us.
Seemed like last year when you played, you made a huge impact. Describe that of like, okay, if I'm going to be out there, I'm going to make the most of it.
Obviously I was, told some news I didn't want to hear during the season, but again, God gave me the opportunity to still kind of push through it. It's very rare to be able to do, what I did, but with those opportunities I had, I obviously knew like my team counts on me, so I got to make the most of every opportunity. And, you know, we have a bunch of playmakers. But any opportunity that I get, I got to make the most of it. And I feel like I was doing exactly what I was, you know, here to do.
To be back this year with this room, I mean, it's crazy to think that NDSU might have the best wide receivers in the country. At NDSU, where they run the ball. Have you guys talked about that as a group, about what kind of skill set you all bring?
To be honest, we just know what kind of group we are. It's not something that, you know, has to be talked about. It's a standard in our room. As everyone can see, you know, our offense has changed a little bit. We have opened up more, you know, but we're just a very electric room. We have so many playmakers. We have so much depth, and it's been like that since I've got here. So, like, the depth that we have, it's like if the next man up mentality, you know, that's obviously preached around here. And I feel like we take that into full account, and everyone's ready. You know, we have a bunch of smart guys. We have electric players. We got people who can, you know, make people miss in space. So it's just like the room that we have, we're so, like, tight-knit. On top of that, we're just a bunch of playmakers. So, yeah, I 100% believe we have the best receiver room in the room.
You've taken this like as a bonus year, like everything this year is gravy, considering what happened. How are you approaching personally this year?
You know, again, this is just, you know, it's an opportunity for me that obviously I need personally, but as well as to pour back into the team. You know, for me, this is a breakout year. I know what, you know, this season holds. I know, you know, goals and certain expectations I have to meet, but it's not just about me, you know, it's about the team. So whatever I can do to help, you know, be an impact, that's really what means most to me.
Describe the maturity level. And you played during that crazy spring year. You've gone through everything. How much do you have that stored? Like, okay, anything, I've seen it. You can throw pretty much anything at me.
100%. You know, when I first came in, that was actually one of the first things that majority of my offensive staff coaches had said that I had to work on. Like, and after, you know, spring ball or fall camp meetings, like, was my maturity. And I feel like each year I've had growth, and I finally, you know, I'm not 100% there, but, you know, I've gotten to a point where they can say, like, I have matured. And, you know, it's a process, but that's part of the process of Bison Pride as well. Like, everyone's going to start somewhere, but they're going to eventually get to that point. Once you fully buy in, you got other people uplifting you and telling you, like, how it is. They're showing you the ropes. So, you know, once you're finally mature and you see all those pictures out there, it just kind of becomes second nature.
Describe knowing what you've got. Like last year, just the frustration of this. This was supposed to be the year. Did you ever feel like, man, this is supposed to be it? Did you get frustrated last year?
You know, being human, of course, but you know, I have to go back to leaning on my faith and everything. I truly believe that everything happens for a reason. So even without me knowing that this was gonna be what it was and me having another year, I just, you know, I had to take some time with the surgery that I had just to really look back and reflect on myself and be like, this is what it is, and this is the opportunity that I have, so I got to really go make the most of it and make it count.
Is there a guy we don't know yet offensively that's coming up that we may know by end of fall camp or sometime during the season that's caught your eye so far?
Within the offense?
Yeah.
I would definitely say Miles, Mitchell, and Chris Keel. I think as freshmen, they're definitely picking up the offense, and you know they're like sponges. They're soaking everything in, but they're also making plays. So you can tell that, you know, with time, of course, and as we were talking about with maturity, they'll get more comfortable. But they're just, you know, using their athleticism as of right now, and it's showing up. That's for sure.
Saw you line up at running back. Is that something we saw a couple of years ago? Potential to happen again?
100%. Now, you know, with that, you know, full year, yes, that is definitely something that, you know, is in store for me. So.
How much is that a callback from high school that you do that all the time?
Oh, 100%. I love being in the backfield too. You know, just like more of that scat back label. It's kind of cool. I feel like different ways to get myself the ball and, you know, be in space and just being a playmaker for this team. Like whatever I can do, and obviously that's a benefit for me. So yeah, I love it.
Most important question, my last one. What's the campaign for getting the all yellow jerseys to happen? How's that going?
Hey, I'll say this much. I feel like we are on the right track, and I feel like people should see and will see it soon. So, yes, I am actually the one who wanted it, and I still do. I think it's a very clean look, and I feel like it'd be a change-up for, you know, Bison Nation to see.
Well, the defense has had the green ones, right?
Exactly. If they can have a cold green week, why can't we have a big O week? That's what I was stressing. So, yeah, I feel like you will see an appearance in that.
Well, we saw it during the Green and Gold Showcase, and I know it got some pretty fevered reaction from fans, but I'm on board. I told him that, and good to catch up with RaJa Nelson. Big expectations for him. And it's a guy you might just forget, like, they got Bryce Lance, they got Mekhi Collins and Chris Harris back, and Jackson Williams is going to be a thing, and Johnny Gores is there, and Raj is there still, and just a tremendous playmaker. If you don't value his importance of being out there, go back and watch the national championship game and the two big catches he had on third down from Cam Miller. That's what Raj did. Had the 2 touchdowns against South Dakota State will live forever, too, for Bison football fans. We'll take our final break. We come back. Got a couple emails to get to. We'll answer our poll question, which was lively today. Give you an update on the Little Leaguers as well. Hot Mike will wrap on WDAY Extra right after this. All right, wrapping things up here on a busy Wednesday show. Tomorrow, Moorhead head football coach Kevin Feeney will be right over there. He'll join us. Also, you'll meet Bismarck Legacy girls basketball standout Marley Falcon will join us. Marley's got offers from all the Dakotas. University of Utah just offered her. That's coming up on the show tomorrow. Looking forward to that. One other thing I want to get to on the TV side that's important for people to watch our program that are sports fans. ESPN announced today its new direct-to-consumer app. I guess they're calling ESPN. Launches August 21st. Now, why is this important? Because a lot of us, myself included, have ESPN Plus. And do I have to get this? And this is from ESPN. It says, if you have existing access to ESPN through a pay TV provider, like I have it through DirecTV, you'll still have access through the updated app. So I'll be able to get this because I pay for ESPN through DirecTV. But if you don't, then I don't know. Like if you go through YouTube TV, I don't know if you're able to do this unless you got a double dip. I'm not sure on that part yet. But that's launching August 21st. Fox has its app launching the same day. So the streaming wars are on, folks. We've talked about it for the better part of 2 years, and now ESPN is saying we're going to bypass television. We're going to stream it directly to you. That you do not need to have cable or satellite to get us. That's what they're doing with this app, and it's going to be everything: games, their whole programming, the whole smorgasbord going to be available that way. I'm interested to see. It's got to work. The app's got to work. I'll just say that from when we launched WDAY Plus, and it's been great. Our app has worked from the get-go. That's the biggest thing I'll tell you about how these things have got to go. Quick update from Indy. Fargo team turned a heck of a double play. They lead Sioux Falls 3-2 as they play in the top of the fourth in Indianapolis in the Midwest Regional. Win there will send them to the championship game. We'll have a full breakdown of that coming up on the show tomorrow. Lastly, the hotly contested poll question today. Since it's National Root Beer Float Day, we're celebrating that here at the station. The best version of ice cream. Look at this. 40% went with the root beer float. 34% with the ice cream sandwich. Mine finished last? The Klondike bar was... What are we doing? I got a bunch of emails. We'll have to save them for tomorrow on that. Appreciate everybody voting. Root beer float's coming up later today. Let's do some What to Watch before we get out of here. What to Watch is brought to us by Northwestern Mutual. We got Twins baseball coming up here this afternoon as they take on the Tigers, trying to get a series win. Mentioned the Little League Regionals are all day long. You can flip on the game with Fargo and Sioux Falls. You can flip on ESPN-U for that. The rest of the games will be on ESPN today. And I gave Benell a little shout-out here because his Brewers are red hot. They face the Braves tonight, 6 o'clock on FS1 for that one.
Best record in baseball.
Milwaukee is doing all right. They got the Mets coming up this weekend. Mets haven't been back to Milwaukee since we know what happened in the playoffs.
Mets, they're going down.
Year. Mets are not playing very well right now. We got to roll. Thanks to our guests today, to Drew Trafton, Harvey McMahon, Mike Zier, and RaJa Nelson for them coming on the show. We appreciate them for stopping by. And if you missed any of the show, of course, you can podcast it later today at inforum.com. NDSU.com. Again, a reminder, we'll be out at Bison Fall Camp later today. Bison Media Day is coming up on Friday. We'll be live up at NDSU for that with a bunch of guests to get us ready for the upcoming football season. It's right around the corner, folks. Thanks so much for being part of our Ridiculous Wednesday show. It was a lot of fun. If you missed any of it, you can go back and watch a full replay as well on WDAY+. Have a great Wednesday, everybody. Enjoy the root beer floats, and we'll see you back here tomorrow.